Welcome to this DaVinci Resolve Studio node breakdown. Today's node is part 2 of the tracker node. And look, I've got the right intro graphic today. So we're going to jump into Fusion, and I've got some media set up. And all I did is I threw a color corrector because the color was kind of annoying me. But we've got this footage and it's a little destabilized. So we are going to use the tracker node to stabilize this footage. So let's go ahead and add a tracker and input it into our footage. So right off the bat, we get one IntelliTracker. And what I want to do is kind of look at the footage and see what I can track. And all these marks on that back wall will work well. I'm not going to track anything on what she's sitting on because it looks like it's moving, or it looks like she's on a boxing rope and the rope is moving and she's moving. So I'm going to use the wall. So we've got plenty of info. So we're going to move our first tracker right on that little spot. And with the tracker node, you can add all your trackers and then track all at once, which if you're doing stuff like that, that's fine. But if you're getting precise tracks, I would do one at a time just so you can monitor what that track is doing while you're tracking. But we're going to go ahead and input all of our tracks. So we've got our first track in. I'm going to hit auto and I'm going to add another IntelliTracker. And this one, let's grab this little dot up here. Let's make sure that stays in frame. And it does. So we're going to use that dot. We're going to hit auto, add another one. And whenever you're doing stabilization, the more, the better. So let's go ahead and grab this dot, hit auto. Let's get another one. Let's see if this dot down here stays in frame the whole time. It doesn't get obstructed because we're not doing that today. So we've got 4 tracks. I'm going to go ahead and hit auto on that, and I'm going to track forward. So it looks like we got good tracks on everything. Nothing's slipping, nothing's going crazy. So we're going to jump into our operation. Now under your operation, you have a few settings and they're going to change depending on what operation we pick. So for stabilization, we're going to select match move. And down here we have our merge, and this is just selecting our background only, which is our background input, our foreground only, which is our foreground input, or foreground over background. So if we're bringing something in to say match move to our tracks, we would bring it into our foreground and still have our background visible, or background over foreground. So for stabilization, we're going to select background only. And your filter methods down here are just like all the other filter methods that we've used on almost every other node in our node breakdowns. And this is just what filter method it's applying if it needs to kind of skew some of those images to make it look good. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on linear. Our edges, we can select either black, warp, duplicate, or mirror, which means as we go forward, let me make sure we're on that node. We can have our edges black, we can have them warp, we can have them duplicate, or we can have them mirror. I'm just going to leave this off so we can see what's going on. So let's check out our track right now and see what we get. It's not too bad. Could be better. And you can see we're sliding out a lot to keep that nice and steady. But let's bring it back. So down here, this is what we want to match move. So our position is our X and Y position. Our rotation is rotation. Our scaling is if it's zooming in and out. We really don't have any zooming in and out, so I'm going to unselect scaling. And I'm going to leave rotation on for right now. Now down here, your flatten transform just means you're going to flatten your transform, so any information coming out, it's not sending that info down the pipeline. For your match move settings right here, we have pivot type. And by default, it's set by tracker average. You can have selected tracker, and then you can select which tracker you want that pivot to be on. So if I select track 1, which is right here, now our pivot is going to be based on track 1's pivot. If I selected track 4, it's going to be based on track 4's pivot. Or you can have an average of all of them and have track average. Additionally, you can use manual. So if you want to manually pivot, you can pivot that image to get it a little straighter if you want. You can move your Y position. But I find tracker average is your best. Now, right down here, this is where you're really going to be able to smooth out some of that motion within your stabilization. So by default, we're referencing our start frame. So our first frame is what our stabilization is referencing. We also have end, so it's referencing that last frame. We also have select time, so our playhead is initially on, is going to be select time. And we also have start and end. Now start and end is going to give you the best results, because basically what it's doing is referencing that first page, the first frame, and it's referencing the last frame and kind of giving you the average of everything. And reference intermediate points, right now we have set to 0, but we can crank this up so it's referencing intermediate points within to help that stabilization. And your incomplete tracker fade in or out, this is for if, say, this tracker went off frame earlier than the other ones, we can add a fade out so it doesn't affect that overall stabilization. But I'm going to move this back to start for right now. And you can see this whole image is kind of sliding over. But if we look at our original media, our camera is actually panning. So we're missing all that pan data. If you look at this little spot on the wall, as I bring it back, it disappears. So our whole camera is panning, which isn't a problem. So to be able to keep that pan, that's where we want to use the start and end and crank that intermediate reference points up. So now if we play it back, we're keeping our pan. It's just stabilizing a little better. If I look at our actual stabilized footage, so you can see that is nice and stabilized now and keeping our pan. And if we wanted to look at the two together, we can bring this up. Let me fit this. And you can see the difference between our stabilized and unstabilized footage. So that is stabilizing using the tracker node. So let's go ahead and move on to the next operation, and we're going to use our tracker node to track her eyes and do replacement. So we're going to add a tracker, And the other day I mentioned naming convention, and this is where it starts getting important, because as you start adding VFX and doing multiple things, and we've got two eyes we've got to track, I want to make sure all my trackers are named correctly. So once you start tracking, your names are kind of locked in. So any names we change, it's still going to show up as IntelliTrack 1 down the line. So before I even start, I want to rename all my trackers and all my tracker nodes so I know what's going on. So we're going to go ahead and name this point tracker eyes. And I'm going to name this eye left. I know it's a right eye, but this is my left. And I'm going to select auto. And I'm going to find what I want to track. And I'm going to track forward. Now down here, if you just keep your eye on the eye, this is what it's tracking. So if you watch this little flip book that's going on, you can see if you have any hiccups during your track. And if it looks pretty smooth and it's staying right where it needs to be, you're good to go and you don't even have to double check. And that just ended because my clip's shorter than my Fusion clip. So, and you can see it went way off up there because of that last clip. If you really wanted to get rid of that, you could make sure you have your spline open, and you could slide your spline open. And since we renamed our stuff, we know this is eyes, so we can go on our eye track and we can find that very last frame, select it, delete it. Now it's gone. So slide that out the way. So we've got our eye track. And you notice this isn't reflecting our name. This says IntelliTrack 1. So it may be down the line only say IntelliTrack 1, or it may say I_left IntelliTrack 1, all as one word. And it does get confusing sometimes because I find the naming of the stuff changes with different nodes sometimes. So as long as we know it straight. So let's go ahead and we're going to shut that one off. We're going to add another tracker and we're going to name this I right and select auto. And let's make sure we're on the first frame. Let's find our eye and we're going to track forward. And same thing with that. We lost it because our footage ended. We can go to our eye, find that last frame, and delete it. So we've got a good track. Now in this one, we're going to use our match move, and we're going to use our foreground over background input to change our eye color. So we could actually, let's just bring in a background. Let's get our eye color we want. Let's say we want it to be blue. And we'll bring in an ellipse. And we'll get it small. Let's go ahead and add some soft edges. And I'm not being perfect with this, so because by no means is this going to be perfect. Let's fix that center. So now once we bring this into our foreground, that's what we want to match move with our left eye. So if we go to our tracker and we hit match move and we hit foreground over background and we hit play, you can see our eye is following. And again, like we did the other day, you can move it so it's tracking correctly. And we can go to this and we can use our apply modes, and we can say multiply just to change that blue. And now she's got a blue eye. Now the problem is we only have one operation, even though we have multiple trackers. So in this instance, if we wanted to plug this in, we would have to, let's go ahead and grab a multi-merge. We're going to input that. We're going to copy this ellipse. We're going to bring that one in. And on this one, we're going to move to her other eye. So now if I play back, we've got both her eyes, not corrected, but both her eyes are blue using that input. But you can see where the problem with this could be. If we really want to control over our actual trackers, we can't do that with this one input. And I believe somebody asked what's the difference between plugging it in and me separating, because the other day or yesterday I said I always like separating my tracker nodes and leaving them on their own and just using their data. And that's why, because it gets difficult to create your tracks and have them individually do different stuff based off one node. So this is why my workflow is like this. I just leave it separate and I use data. Because now, let me go ahead and lock that. What I could do is I'm going to delete all this. And I've got a single background with my ellipse. So let's go ahead and recenter that ellipse. And I could take two transforms, pump that into one, pump that into another one, and let's go ahead and bring in a merge. And we're going to merge this. So now we have that with our two ellipses, but I can go to my transform node, and I need a multi-merge. Or I'll just bring in another merge. Merge these two together, and then bring this into this merge. There we go. But I can go into my transform node, and let me shrink this down because I did notice the other day this didn't show up. But if I go to my transform node, right click on my center and go to connect to, I have all my trackers I've used. This is our first tracker that we did our stabilization with. And if you notice, now we have PTIs. So our naming convention was good. And then we have PTI left path, PTI right path. So this is why naming is important, because now I know exactly what this is. So if I want to attach this to my position on the left, I just hit position. I can go to this transform, right click, connect to my right eye position. So now I've got all these eyes tracking correctly. Let me go back. And then on my merge, I can just go to multiply. And I have my eyes. But this is a much better workflow because I can stack all my trackers. If I end up having 20 trackers, I can stack them all. They're nice and named, and I have access to my data. So speaking of data, if I right click over here, and I got to get rid of that first. And if I say connect to, if I look at this PTIs, and let me make sure this is fitting in there. Connect to PTIs. We have all these options right here for connecting to PTIs. And what these offset and perspective offset and steady position offset are is, This is our offset position. We talked about creating an offset position using that little extra bar that came down to offset our track. That's if we wanted to connect to that, we would use offset position. Our perspective offset position would be the same thing if we set up a perspective. Our steady position is used to stabilize our footage in the X and Y. So if we have additional footage, we can use that data to stabilize. The unsteady position is if we needed to unstabilize, meaning if we stabilized and then we had to do some graphics on it and then we wanted to bring it back to its original unsteady, we could use that one. And then the same thing for our right eye. And our steady axis, our steady position, and our unsteady position for the overall node. So not the individual tracks, but the overall node. So where we said in our tracker node for our operations, and we use track average, that's what that means. So let me go ahead and put this back to half my monitor. So that's using, let me set our transform back. Connect to position. That is using our tracker node to match move items using both the foreground input and the data from within. So let's move on to our next example. So in this example, we are going to do a four-corner position so we can input an image. All right, so I'm going to add a tracker. And like we said, naming convention, I'm going to rename this point tracker corners. And we're going to go to our first track, and I'm not going to rename these because I'm actually not going to operate outside of this anyway. And just to make this video a little faster because it's going to be long anyway, I'm going to go ahead and input our track. I'm going to select auto, add a new track, and you put it in that corner. And when we get into the operations, I'll show you it by default sets these as top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. So that's just the order I do. You can always change it if you want to. So I'm going to go here and hit track, get my bottom left, and her fingers might throw some of this stuff off. And I would do this a little more perfect if I wasn't trying to rush. Bottom right. And we're going to track all of our tracks. And there we go. We've got all of our footage tracked. So once you have your tracks in there and they're all good, we're going to go to match move, and this time we're going to use corner positioning. And what this is going to do is going to allow us to input data to be positioned on top of our tracks. So let me go ahead and I'm going to grab this. So all I'm going to do is put my little studio graphic here on top of our track, and instantly it automatically positions it. Kind of beautiful, but there's a lot of green screen stuff going on. So within the track, we have our merge type, and obviously we want foreground over background. Our apply modes are our typical apply modes if we wanted to lighten, screen. Our operators are all the same operator modes we have in other nodes, over, in, held out. We have subtractive and additive, and our edges are the same as the others. So if we kind of zoom in here, we have black, which is going to be transparent. We have wrap, so you can see it's wrapping where that's skewing that. Duplicate or mirror. Go ahead and leave this on black. Our mapping type, we have bilinear and perspective. So right now it's kind of stretching and skewing our image. so it kind of matches those corner pins a little better because it's assuming this is a square. But if I hit bilinear, it's going to unskew that and it's always going to be straight. Probably leave that in perspective. And right here, this is where I was talking about it defaults top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. But if I did track 4 and then track 3, I can just go ahead and switch my tracks around. And you're going to see, because you have this red line right here. So if I accidentally had track 4 on the other side and track 3 on the bottom, you can see our line is crisscrossed and it's incorrect. So track 3, track 4, now it is correct. And if you need to rotate them all clockwise, you can rotate them all clockwise and rotate counterclockwise. And your match move settings are the same as they were for our match move. So that is using the tracker as a corner positioner. Now, if we needed to do this opposite, say we had something that we needed to flatten, like we'll say this image, and let me go ahead and fit that. So if we needed to come in here and do something on the sign, it's a bit difficult to do it when it's in this perspective because you got to draw on the perspective. So the best way to do it is flatten this image out and get rid of that perspective. So we're going to go ahead and add a tracker. And we're going to rename it point tracker sign. And we're going to select auto and input our tracks. And again, I'm not going to be perfect or name these. I'm just trying to get this in there and done. So our next one, add one more. My mouse isn't working with me today. Add one more. And that's good. And we're going to track forward. And we lost it, and it did some crazy stuff after that last frame. So again, we can open up our spline editor and I'm going to hide all this stuff and look for our PT sign. So now we can go find that one frame, hit delete, and it's gone. So there we go. And again, you can start seeing the importance of naming all this stuff. So if you have transform 1, transform, tracker 1, it gets confusing. But if we have them all nice and named, we know, hey, that's our corner one we did, that's our sign, that's our eyes. It's nice and easy. So, all right, back to our sign. So we've got it all tracked and we need to flatten this. So what we need to do is go to operation and perspective positioning. And what we can do is we can take this same image and input it. And now we've got a flattened image. So with this, what we could do is we can go in and let's say grab a text. And we're going to type open, or let's see here. Now open. There we go. And let's change our color up. Be an orange. Size. Shading. Let's go ahead and add a black shadow. And let's rotate this. And we'll move it. So now we've got our now open. So now we can disconnect this media from our foreground and connect our text instead. Connect our text instead. And if we go to our tracker and switch this from perspective positioning to corner positioning, now our graphic is in there perfectly and it's tracked and good to go. So that is using the tracker to do corner positioning and flattening your image to do graphics. So that pretty much covers all of our operations within the operation portion of the tracker. Tomorrow I'm going to cover some of this options area, and we're going to cover problem tracks using our frames per point, adaptive mode, and path center. So I will see you in the next node breakdown.